Cabot covers the Browns and breaks a ton of stories. She's been with us many times here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. Talk a little Jonathan Manziel. Mary, how you been?
I'm great, guys. How you doing?
We're doing okay.
Hey, Mary Kay, don't be thrown off by BT calling Johnny Manziel Jonathan, and I'm going to call him John Paul Manziel.
It's the more sophisticated
Just to
quarterback.
give you a heads up.
Well, he's got all kinds of different names that everybody calls him.
Yeah, but they're getting less and less interesting, which probably, that's appealing to the Browns. You've been around them since day one, the minute he was drafted, and he really, before we get to the elbow, he's obviously changed the way he goes about his business. I know it's just an interpretation, and we don't really know. It's got to play out over time. But is it authentic? Are you really buying it?
Well, you know what? I'm buying it one day at a time. I really feel like that for now, everything is going really well, and he's doing everything that he's supposed to be doing. But I think, anybody that knows anything about, issues like this off the field, it's just a process. It's something that you have to continually work on, and I think he's doing a very good job with it. And there have been no photos that would tell us otherwise. But still, I think that Johnny's recovery is just going to be a one day at a time, long term thing.
Yeah, I think you're right with that. Look, I know John DeFilippo, who was the offensive coordinator, because he was with the Giants for a while when I was here, and I know his mindset. Do you think that he, in the back of his mind, says Johnny's our future at some point?
Well, you know what? He and Kevin O'Connell, the quarterback's coach, they might think that. I mean, I know they're pretty excited about what they've seen in Johnny. I know they believe that he's talented, and I know that the organization is trying to be optimistic and look at him as still their potential quarterback of the future. I'm sure some people might have their doubts about that. I know that the guys that coached him last year really didn't think that he was going to be able to do that, but that was in part because he wasn't willing to put in the work or the time required to become a successful NFL quarterback. So I think that, this is the new and improved Johnny. And yes, I have seen a lot of good things, but I'm being a little bit more cautious than maybe some other people.
Yeah, it seems like the prudent approach there. I'm with you. Mary, one thing that came to light here is that there was some damage, and he's really had issues with his elbow since high school. I mean, I would imagine this didn't catch the Browns by surprise. They knew this when they drafted him, right?
Well, if they didn't, they should have. I mean,
Yeah.
if he has been suffering from this since high school. Now, we never heard anything about it. I talked to someone that covered him at Texas A&M, and they said it really wasn't something that was discussed there. The practices were not open, so they didn't know if he was resting. And so it wasn't something that was really out there. Johnny ices his elbow after practice, so if he had ice on the elbow, I don't think that would have sent up any red flags. But, yes, this is something that he's been suffering from. But, he also won the Heisman Trophy, and he didn't miss any games. So I don't think it's necessarily something that would have thrown the Browns off the scent of trying to draft him.
Okay, talking to Mary Kay Cabot, covers the Browns and covers them very well. Cleveland plain dealer, Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. I know Tim Couch piped in with his thoughts. He went through this a little bit when he was a young pro, and I guess there's really not a whole lot you could do to tweak his mechanics. It's the funky three-quarter delivery. The Browns pretty much just have to live with that, right? They wouldn't overhaul the way Johnny Manziel throws the football.
No, they said that they won't do that. And, they've got Kevin O'Connell in here, their quarterback's coach, who, he's a stickler for mechanics and he's really great at that kind of thing. And they have no plans to tinker with his throwing motion at this time. However, if they don't, then you find yourself in a situation where that three-quarter release is putting too much stress and strain on the elbow, and that you're going to have to live with this kind of thing over time and try to find a way to manage it. The reason why I think it is even more than just a little bit of a concern is because, this happened in training camp when he was the number 2 quarterback, not getting as many reps probably as Josh McCown was, and 4 quarterbacks were dividing up the reps. So, what if he has to do this over time when he's the starter and he's taking every single first-team rep in practice? If that's the case, they're going to have to try to find a way to manage it.
Yeah, you're right. You're talking about Josh McCown. What was the danger, I guess, prior to this of Johnny overtaking him?
You know what? Not very great. Not very great at all. I mean, they were heading into this third preseason game. He has yet to work against a first-team defense this whole entire preseason. So anybody that thought that Johnny Manziel was in contention for this starting job in any way, shape, or form was really kidding themselves. There were no signs that was happening. And Mike Pettin, point blank, would come out and say all the time, Josh is firmly the one, Johnny is the number 2. So anybody that wasn't hearing that just wasn't listening.
How bad does Josh have to play for that to even be considered then?
Well, I don't think that they'll let him go out there and lose a bunch of games and make a darn fool of himself. I mean, if anything like that's happening, they'll do whatever they have to do, whether that's Johnny or someone else. So, I don't think that they're ready to get Johnny in there anytime soon. But I also think that they'll do whatever they have to do to win some football games.
There you go. Mary Kay Cabot on the Browns beat. Appreciate it. I know we'll be chatting during the season. Thanks, Mary.
Sounds great, guys. Thanks.
You got it.